How did Germany get from this to this?
We've been dealing with the refugee situation for 10 years. At some point, that's enough.
Germany is toughening up on people seeking asylum, with border controls and stricter rules. Today, around 3.5 million refugees live in Germany. And it all started off with a bold move. In 2015, then-Chancellor Angela Merkel decided to let hundreds of thousands of refugees into Germany, issuing a challenge for the entire nation.
We can do it.
She was celebrated and judged.
What did she do? She's in the process of destroying Germany.
But is that true? Or has Germany made immigration a success? In this film, you'll get an overview of the facts, and you'll hear from critics of immigration policy, as well as people with refugee experience and newly naturalized Germans.
Germany's given me so much.
In places that show the change Germany has gone through. So what went wrong? And what went well? And how did we get to where we are today? Let's take stock. Let's start the journey in Boostedt. The village in the north of Germany has nearly 6,000 residents. At times, up to 2,000 refugees were housed in a shelter nearby.
I don't think politicians understand what must be done locally to make that work.
This is Hartwig Pohlmann. Since the beginning, the retired police officer has made it his job to serve as a bridge between asylum seekers and locals, and to listen to everyone's concerns. Some locals told him they felt torn. They wanted to support those fleeing war, but they were also afraid of the new arrivals.
It had gotten out of hand. Wherever you went, it was like masses moving. They were walking in groups of 10, 20, even hundreds. That was quite telling.
That's too many for a village like Boostedt.
And what Pohlmann hears here in Boostedt is what many across Germany think too. A recent poll shows that almost 70% of German citizens say the country should let in fewer refugees. To understand why, let's leave Boostedt for now and go back in time. A decade ago, the general atmosphere in Germany was very different.
Germany had just become men's soccer world champion and weathered the European economic crisis.
This is Hannes Schamann, a migration researcher looking at the impact of immigration in Germany.
The mood was upbeat. There was a sense that Germany could achieve a lot, that it was a leading force in the world. Angela Merkel was respected, even the leader on the global stage.
But then something major happened. In the late summer, more and more refugees started arriving at European borders seeking asylum. Many headed for Germany. With the clock ticking, Angela Merkel took the controversial decision to let them in.
We've done so much, we can do it.
And many in Germany thought so too. That year, more people applied for asylum in Germany than ever before. Almost 480,000 people in total. Their top countries of origin were Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Germany welcomed them in, with their stories, traumas, and dreams. That was when, after an arduous journey across the Mediterranean, the family of Nibal Altubal arrived in Germany. Now, she and her family are German citizens.
I now have 2 countries I call home, and that's a wonderful feeling.
They live here in Ulm, in southern Germany. 10 years ago, it seemed highly unlikely that Nibal and her family would end up here. Their home was in Syria, but their neighborhood near Damascus was constantly being bombed.
When parents can no longer protect their children, they have no choice but to find a solution. And for us, the solution was to leave, no matter what.
Today, they speak fluent German, rent an apartment in a quiet neighborhood, and have good jobs. Their kids have grown up and are studying at university.
This has become our home now, but we haven't forgotten our homeland. We try to contribute to both, to our homeland and to Germany, by doing everything we can.
Building a life here, Nibal says, has been a huge effort. She now works as a laboratory assistant.
We did everything we were supposed to do. And maybe that's why we succeeded.
It's a life like this that many people hoped for when they fled to Germany. But for some, it's remained a dream. Kamiran Davut also fled the war in Syria and came to Germany in 2015 with his family. Only Kamiran agreed to be on camera. He and his family now live in Cottbus, a city in the east of Germany, close to the Polish border, where many recognized asylum seekers were settled and some chose to stay because housing is relatively affordable. But look at these numbers. The share of non-German residents in the city has nearly tripled since 2014. One of them is Kamiran. He started his life in Germany with big hopes. Since a car accident back in Syria, Kamiran's hand is paralyzed.
I came here thinking the healthcare system was amazing, but I'm disappointed.
There seems to be no cure for his hand. But his family is safe, and his daughters are enrolled in school. Kamiran himself still struggles, mostly for one reason, he says.
When I came to language school, I could only reach a very basic level because I struggle with writing. I can read a little bit.
After 10 years, he still needs help finding his way in Germany. That's why social worker Nadim Manjune visits the family regularly to help with all kinds of paperwork and everyday issues. We'll get to know Nadim later. Kamiran says it's difficult for him to find a job. He only attended school up to the 8th grade.
The German labor market remains strongly tied to the German language, and that is a big problem.
Kamiran and his family receive financial support from the German government. Just like many others. 1 in 2 people from countries such as Afghanistan, Syria, or Pakistan receive social benefits. The other half have found work. One reason for that is that many refugees flee their home countries to seek asylum due to wars or conflicts. Think Syria, Afghanistan, but also Ukraine. That means they're not always immediately ready to work in Germany.
Asylum seekers who come to Germany have lower qualifications on average.
This is Daniel Thüm. The professor's fields of research are German and international immigration law.
Some are doctors, of course, but the majority haven't completed university or vocational training. They arrive with no German, need to be housed by the state and rely on social benefits. It often takes several years before they find a job, and even then, they often work in low-skilled jobs.
One major hurdle they face, getting their previous qualifications recognized. German institutions don't always accept them. That shows in the statistics. It takes some time until refugees and immigrants find jobs. But after 7 years, more than 60% of people who arrived in 2015 had found work. Haitham, Nibal's husband, did find skilled work. Back in Syria, he was a self-employed shoemaker. After less than a year of living in Germany, he started working as an orthopedic shoemaker.
For me personally, my work is important. It allows me to live. Because my plan was, if I go to Germany, I must find work as quickly as possible.
If Haitham were no longer here, a major pillar of our company would collapse.
Many experts say that refugees and asylum seekers are crucial for the German labor market, which is increasingly desperate to recruit from abroad. Studies indicate at least 288,000 skilled workers per year are needed to fill the gaps. Germany already benefits from around 2 million professionals from abroad in sectors with shortages. Syrians, for instance, are the largest group of foreign-born doctors in Germany. Around 6,000 work here. Without immigrants, many sectors would collapse, as shown in these viral videos from clinics. But it's not work that brings most refugees to Germany. They can apply for asylum because they're fleeing war or persecution. The right to asylum is enshrined in the German constitution. It's granted independently of skills. And Germany has a labor shortage. It needs skilled workers whether they're in need of asylum or not. Germany's bureaucracy is struggling to adapt to process the refugees and other immigrants.
The number of foreign nationals in Germany has roughly doubled over the past 10 years. But the number of public administration staff hasn't. That shows how much pressure they're under. They're overwhelmed.
Depending on their case, asylum seekers have to wait at least 3 to 6 months to receive a work permit. But it usually takes much longer. And in some cases, people are even barred from working for years.
The German system encourages passivity among migrants. They wait for a decision, for something to happen. Then the switch is flipped. They have to prove themselves on the job market. Many struggle with that.
A language that's tough to learn, overwhelming bureaucracy, and a job market that's hard to enter. All factors that hold people back from moving forward or integrating. And that's where, for years now, many Germans have stepped in to help in their free time. Let's go back to Swabia, to the village of Schwendi. Bernd Kara is part of a group of locals that helped Nibal's family when they arrived. He still works with refugees in his free time.
Hi, Irfan. Nice to see you. How are you? Working with refugees is truly a wonderful thing. It really brings joy. Some small friendships have already formed, and we clearly see the meaning and importance of our work.
Volunteer help has been crucial for helping people integrate.
I never forget that the German people and Germany helped us. Very much.
In 2015, 1 in 2 Germans helped out, including as volunteers. But that changed quickly. The desire to help dropped significantly in just 2 years. At the same time, the voices of skeptics became louder. And that didn't come as a surprise.
Of course, in 2015, the entire population did not all cheer and shout hurrah. There were always people who didn't want more diversity in Germany, who didn't want more immigration.
And there are key events that caused the mood to shift drastically. Like this one in Cologne. New Year's Eve 2015. That night, more than 600 women filed reports of sexual assault during public celebrations. Police said they believed many of the suspects were North African, but the identities of many perpetrators could not be confirmed. In the end, only 32 cases ended in convictions, most for robbery or theft, crimes which also occurred that night.
New Year's Eve in Cologne shifted the focus to migration and crime, to migration and sexual offenses.
Gina Rosa Wollinger is a professor for criminology. This shift in the discourse she describes was fuel to the rise of a political newcomer, the far-right populist AfD, the Alternative for Germany. At this point in 2016, the AfD had won more and more votes in local elections. Over the past few years, it has increasingly targeted immigrants with scathing rhetoric.
Burqas, girls in headscarves, and scroungers with knives.
Especially for a party like the AfD, crime-related issues play a major role. It's a way to attract attention, to politicize things, and it taps into feelings of insecurity that are easy to trigger.
Over the past 10 years, the AfD has become the second biggest party in Germany's national parliament. 1 in 5 voters opted for the AfD in the last federal election. In Boostedt, the northern German village we started off in, it was even 1 in 4. That's way too many AfD supporters for Hartwig Pohlmann, the retired police officer.
The statements made by the AfD leadership are simply not okay. They're legally dubious, and we must respond firmly.
But Pohlmann says that after 10 years, doing something about it is getting more and more difficult.
I sometimes notice it even among my friends. People who are very important to me also start to oversimplify things because they've fallen for easy solutions.
Together with this group of locals, he still tries to take action in his village, to build bridges. When there were complaints about trash in town, the group organized litter cleanups every day, and many asylum seekers jumped in to help.
It's a positive thing. There's a lot less of that now, and that's good.
And when people felt unsafe, social workers started to be more present on the streets. One spot they always go to, the local supermarket. There were complaints of theft here and of asylum seekers hanging out in the evening.
Yeah, okay, let's go to the back.
Do you want to stay here?
Yeah, okay.
You can talk a bit and then head home in your Mercedes. We've managed to positively influence the sense of safety for some people. But fears persist, also because of the presence of foreign cultures. But despite these feelings, we've managed to have streets with almost no crime. Still, the situation is fragile. What if something does happen?
Police statistics show that in general, non-Germans are suspected of crimes more often than Germans. Last year, 35% of suspects didn't have German citizenship. But the proportion of foreigners in Germany is only around 15%.
You could say foreigners are overrepresented, but there are many distorting factors.
One of them, people tend to file charges more often against those they perceive as foreign. Also, many refugees have experienced violence. Trauma can lead to grave psychological problems. That makes crime more likely, not because people are immigrants, but due to their situation.
The refugees are not a cross-section of their societies of origin, but mainly young men. And we know that these two characteristics, young and male, are very strongly associated with violent crime.
Like in these cases, where crimes committed by refugees shook Germany. For example, in Berlin, a terrorist attack on a Christmas market. Or in Solingen, a fatal knife attack at a city festival. Or in Aschaffenburg. Here, a man with mental health issues attacked a kindergarten group with a knife, killing 2. The suspect was Afghan and due to be deported. These are rare cases, but they've disproportionately influenced the image of immigrants, including refugees. Research says that whenever attacks like these happen, the big political winners are far-right parties like the AfD. But refugees and other immigrants are increasingly on the receiving end of crimes and violence as well. Anti-Muslim violence and racism and other forms of discrimination are on the rise, a major concern for many immigrants in Germany. Nadim Manjune, Kamiran's social worker, is no stranger to racism.
That's something we deal with on a daily basis. From clients who find a pig's ear in their mailbox to others who are simply yelled at.
Nadim came as a refugee from Syria and is a German citizen now. He says he even experienced physical violence from right-wing extremists. In Cottbus, far-right symbols are shown openly in public.
Germany has given me so much. I was born in a dictatorship, and here I got a taste of democracy for the first time. And to know that those flags represent an ideology of hating people just because of their skin color or religion, that makes me feel sick.
According to German intelligence, the number of potentially dangerous right-wing extremists has increased sixfold since 2015. And recorded incidents of racist crime have multiplied since 2017. There have been shocking incidents of racist violence, like this attack in Hanau. A gunman killed 9 people, targeting immigrant communities. A bleak note to end on, so maybe we should take a step back. We've talked quite a lot about crime, both directed at refugees and committed by them, sometimes allegedly committed. And yes, the latter has become the hot topic in German politics. The AfD is reshaping public discourse, stoking skepticism, fear, and hatred. With its political success, it's pushed other parties to adopt a tougher stance and tougher rhetoric on immigration. And this also shows in their policies. While Merkel still defends her move from 2015, the current German stance on asylum has changed drastically.
We are regulating migration through stricter limitations, increased rejections, enhanced controls, and more repatriations.
Critics say that such moves may break European law or simply be tokenism. But it's clear they're a reaction to a growing demand for control and for limits. So Germany is torn between the feeling of being overwhelmed and the will to help. But the country depends on immigration. Germany is facing demographic change with a shrinking and aging society. Experts say it needs immigrants to survive. So where do we stand?
We've largely completed the task of 2015. We have now been given new tasks, and it will now be a matter of finding politically clever solutions for all these problems, and not looking to 2015 all the time, but rather to look at what's currently there, and then look ahead and ask, how can we best handle this?
So the question for the future is not, can we do it, but how we can do it, in a country that's growing older. And in a world with wars and climate change, where immigration will not stop. To do it successfully, it needs the political will to succeed, and people who are willing to go the extra mile. People across civil society who help when the authorities are overwhelmed, and build bridges when society becomes divided.